This one hits close to home. I'm going to tell you a story after I play the video, but the bottom line is two black young ladies, one valedictorian and salutatorian. They took very hard courses and those courses are weighted higher because again, they're harder courses. My daughter was in AP and all these harder courses garnered her higher GPA scores because they were more commensurate with college courses. Well, anyhow, these two women won valedictorian and salutatorian. Oh, in this southern town, we couldn't have that. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I told you about the story in the New York Times. Two black students won school honors, then came the calls for a recount. Those two students and new high school graduates are now here with me. Layla Temple was named salutatorian at West Point High School in Mississippi. Ikaria Washington was named valedictorian. Ikaria, when I read this article, it said that in the meeting that your mom was called to at the school to discuss what had happened, you were in there and you were holding back tears. And then when you came out, you couldn't hold them back anymore. What happened in that meeting?
I just was hurt because I feel like they got something that they did not earn after I worked hard for it.
When did you learn about, is that the meeting where you learned about what had happened? When did you first realize that you were not the only valedictorian?
I was called to the school to bring one of my extra souls back, but he didn't tell me why I was bringing it back.
Layla, you actually said in your speech, when you delivered your speech, you called yourself the real salutatorian. Did you get any pushback on that?
No, sir.
What do you think this is about? Do you think one of the other students, the co-valedictorian, said this has nothing to do with race, it's got to do with math? What's your response to that?
I believe it do have to do with race, because why would you even assume that your GPA was higher when they first announced it?
Ikaria, what do you want to happen here? The school said they'd made a mistake. They then chose two other people to join you and share the awards. Obviously, that's not a practical idea moving forward. What do you want to see happen?
I just feel like it shouldn't be shared because they did not earn it. I should have it to myself.
What has the school said about that? Because they said they've made a mistake. Do you think that the school should be using weighted GPAs where the two of you and Layla get the award because you took harder classes, advanced standing classes, double credits, things like that? Do you think that's the system that the school should use?
Yes, because they're basically saying the harder classes don't matter.
Layla, what has the school done about this since then? As you go forward, is it now just a fact that you are the co-salutatorian?
I think so, but on my transcript, they keep putting number 3. So I don't know if that would interfere with any of my salutatorian scholarships. I think that's about it.
And Ikaria, what are you planning to do next about this? Is there anything left for you and your family to be able to do?
We're still fighting for it.
Have you had a conversation with the person who was named your co-valedictorian?
No, sir.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I would. Just to know, why they feel like it should be earned. Like, they should have it, knowing they didn't earn it.
What about you, Layla? Would you want to have that conversation?
No, sir.
You don't want to talk to them about it?
No, sir. I just feel like you're going to be filled with excuses of why it's not racist and why they assume there was 1 or 2 from the beginning.
I thank you both for talking to us about this remarkable story. Layla Temple is the West Point High School co-salutatorian now, although she does refer to herself as the real salutatorian. Ikaria Washington is the West Point High School co-valedictorian. Both of these two students were named the valedictorian and salutatorian before the school reconsidered how they were measuring those two.
You know, what is shameful? It's like you're fighting a moving target. You're asked if you want to perform and win, do it this way, and you do it and you win. But you can't really win, right? So you do it another way. They change the goalpost on you. Here's that issue. That issue was just how to calculate who the top students were. Ikaria and Layla won based on a calculation of quality points average, or QPA, a system of calculating grades that gave extra weight to an advanced placement and dual credit courses, which makes sense. But it turned out Dominic and Emma, the two white students, were the top two finishers based on unweighted grade point average. You know what I remember in school people saying? I am going to take the easy courses so that my GPA would be high, right? So you take the easy courses so that your GPA could be high, while the other person takes these very difficult courses and their GPA suffers just a few points later. So as it turns out, it would have been the people who were undeserving got 1 and 2 in GPA grades, and very little bit underneath that were Layla and Ikaria. And it is sad because they are better students, period. They took tougher courses, period. Based on the weighted average, which is what it's supposed to be, they won. And they moved the goalpost on them. You know, and if you think this, look, personally now, this is personal to me in that I've lived this in my life. I remember back in Panama, I went to the Latin American schools first because, of course, I'm Panamanian. But then all the people on the canal zones, they wanted to go to the same school. So the last 2 years of school, they placed us 11th grade and 12th grade. They placed us in the American schools. And it was interesting, right? Because I played the tuba in the band. And when we played the tuba, I was always chair number 1. But every time we had a concert, when there was going to be a printed manual, I would get a challenge from my second, and the challenge meant you go and each of you play a particular piece, and then the director picks who won that challenge. And every single time, right before the concert, I would get that challenge, and for sure I would lose that challenge, and his name would be number 1 and my name would be number 2 on the as far as the seedings of the tuba. That tells you, you know, who's a better tuba player. And of course, it's too late for me to challenge back. I'll challenge again, and I would always get back the first seat because the guy who followed me was not a good player at all for the tuba. So I mean, you know, it's something that I lived and I feel it, and I thought that by now this should be gone. I could tell stories and stories from business loans to positions at NASA, to positions at oil companies, the tribulation that one goes through, where the post, they keep moving the post on you, where there's always an excuse, where in as much as you have qualified, you have met the requirements to win, to get a position, to get a loan, to get all these different things. You know you've got it, but the goalpost was moved because you just can't. We just don't want you to have it. I understand the pain that these young ladies are going through, and to think that 20 or 30 years after some of what I've gone through as a Black, as a Latino, as a Caribbean person, that these two young ladies are still going through this in some high school. They did the work. How is somebody to keep their morale up? How do you expect all these folks that you tell, do this and it's going to be okay? Prove yourself. Be meritorious. You know, even in my book, I point some of this out, How to Make America Utopia. We really have to get to the position where meritocracy means something, where honor means something. What these young ladies went through, they are the valedictorian and the salutatorian. I was happy to see her say, do you want to meet these students? Hell no. Why? They attempted to take something that I earned. They attempted to steal something from me. They couldn't win it outright, so they stole it. And that is what we've done so many times. We cannot convince Colombia to allow us to build a canal. We create a war within the province of Panama and allow those people, put a big battleship in the Gulf of Colón and allow them to create their own country, Panama and then tell Panama, now sign this treaty in perpetuity so that we can build a canal. This is something that goes on over and over and over again. Folks, if you ask the question many times, why don't they like us? And by us, I'm not talking about the actual individual Americans. I'm talking about those in leadership. I'm talking about those who took away those girls' right. I'm talking about those who exploit. I'm talking about those who continue to move the bar. We have to be better. It is time to be better. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.